Flame and Fable is such a cute name for a bookstore, and you are niched, which I love. I love a good niche. You're niched in romantasy, right?
Yep. So it's fantasy and romance. So romantasy is like my bread and butter, but I also read fantasy and I also read romance. So everything on the shelves from no romance fantasy to like super dark and super spicy romance. So
So are you just like loving this ACOTAR and fourth wing trend because that is both of your niches combined into one?
yeah, I joke a little bit that I read like Throne of Glass and Akatar as they were being published, so it feels a little bit like I did it before it was cool, but at the same time, it allows me to connect with so many people because so many people have read Akatar, and it's like a gateway, honestly, for people to break into the genres.
I think I took that gateway drug because I do not like romantasy at all. I don't like fantasy. Like outside of like Twilight and Harry Potter, I'm not into
Mhm.
it. But I did just finish the ACOTAR series, and now everybody's like, "Oh, you got to read Fourth Wings." And before I would be like, "I am not reading about dragons," but I just read about fairies, and now I have irrational crushes on fictional fairy men.
Yep.
So I have taken the gateway drug, and I'm into it now. How
That's
long
awesome.
have you had Flame and Fable, and where did this all get started? Because getting a solid in-person walk through the doors bookstore up and running is quite the feat.
Yeah, well, so Flame and Fable opened its doors on February 8th. So we're just a little over a month and a half old at this point. And it's been an absolute whirlwind. Like the support that's come from the community has been so wonderful. And it took me around 9 months from conception to door opening to get the store started. But I've always wanted to open a bookstore. Like it's always been a pipeline dream of mine. And it just so happened that my life was in the right place for me to try and make the dream a reality. And I had the best support in the world. My husband and my family were right there alongside me the entire time. And I've met so many people through like my social media and just like walking in the door that have been willing to help me on things. Like my friend Emma, who I mentioned earlier, is someone that I met through the store, and she just offers to come in and help every now and then. It's just been a wonderful experience so far.
What were you doing before?
My last job, I worked at Overdrive, which is the company that makes the Libby app.
And what did you have to do to execute this plan? I'm assuming the biggest part of it is finding a space and having a good
Mhm.
location where you can ensure you're
Yeah.
getting foot traffic.
Yeah, for sure. So, I the first thing that I did was put together a business plan, and like after I had the idea that day, I met with my dad, and my dad was at my brother's house, and he was like fixing a closet door or something, and I was just like, "Hey, can I come over and talk to you real quick?" And he had me come over, and then I just sat in my brother's office chair while my dad was doing this closet, and I was like, "So, like, hear me out. What do you think if I opened a bookstore?" And he's like, "That's a fantastic idea. Write a business plan and let's get started." So that's what I did. And it took me about a week to put together a 31-page business plan for the store. And I worked with some facilities that kind of help small businesses, the Small Business Development Center. I worked with SCORE. I met with an indie bookstore owner that gave me a lot of advice and expertise, I should say. And then from there, I started looking for funding and I started looking for a space and started like getting all of my relationships started with vendors and such. And I had a bit of a lull finding a space because I had two places that fell through that I was looking at. So I started getting really defeated. And so I took a few months break off of working on the store. And it was right around the time that my husband and I went to Japan with his family, went last October. And then when I got back, I told him the next day I was going to start looking for a space again. And that day I found this location, and it was just start to finish took like 3 days for me to sign the lease and get the keys. So it was like I just had to wait, and it worked really well.
That's super fast. Tell me what it was about that location that made it a win for you.
The size was what I was looking for. It was all open. Like a problem that I had in other spaces was that there were walls everywhere, and I wanted it to be like a really open and welcoming space. and it's in a great location. It's just outside downtown Lakewood, across the street from St. Ed's. And there's a craft store next door. There's a coffee shop on every corner around here. There's a bakery right down the street. So just, it's a really great area to be in. And it felt really serendipitous that I found it. It felt like the one.
Tell me about the process of finding funding for a bookstore. I spoke with an independent bookstore owner in Panama City, Florida, in episode 4. And she said that banks were like, oh, this is going to fail. This isn't going to work. So, what was that like for you?
I had the same exact experience. I I worked with a score mentor on how to find funding, and he gave me a lot of advice and told me like which banks to ask. And so I went through a couple like national banks, and then I applied to Huntington specifically because they have a program called like local lift, I think, and so they enjoy giving money to small businesses that will benefit the community. But I also did like I looked at the Small Business Association. I looked at there's like a women's small business division that also offers grants and things like that. So there were a lot of avenues to go through, but I feel like everywhere I looked, they were like, "Oh, you're asking for too little," or because like they want to lend a lot of money so that they can make money on it, or it was, "This is not quite as lucrative as we feel, so we don't know if we're going to fund for you." So I actually ended up personally funding the business instead.
That pisses me off. Like I get mad
Yeah, me too.
every time I hear these stories, I get so mad.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
and I'm assuming again, just based on other conversations I've had on the podcast with other independent bookstore owners, you sell more than just books. I love your shirt. Drink coffee, read smut,
Thank you.
be happy. Like the read smut is what makes that shirt amazing.
Thank
I'm
you.
assuming you sell shirts like this. Tell me what else you sell in your store because it's my understanding, again, from doing these interviews, that the profit margin on selling books is very small. And if you carry independent authors, they even get smaller. So you
Mhm.
have to do things like sell the merch, host the events, do all the things. So tell me different ways you're diversifying your income outside of just selling books.
Sure. So, in our research of the book industry, it shows that sidelines, which are the non-book products, make up about 30% of sales. So we try really hard to find like little products that are associated with books that aren't a huge expense, and also don't cost a ton of money for the customers, that they feel like as they're walking around the register, maybe like, oh yeah, let me pick up a bookmark, let me pick up a candle. I sell drinkware. I sell book sleeves. I sell Kindle cases, stickers, all kinds of little things, and they vary in price anywhere from like $3 to $45, depending on what you're looking at. I have like handmade little dragons, and I have Kindle charms, like all these little things. And I'm really fortunate to have relationships with about 12 local creators. So, in addition to stocking my shelves, I'm also able to spread the word about these other small businesses, mostly women owned businesses in my area that sell products that are things that I would want.
As a person who frequents bookstores, you cannot go to a bookstore and not get those little things because they are
Yep.
the cutest, the most fun. Like I have way too many book themed totes. I can't get another one. And the pens with the words on them. And in addition to
Mhm.
like the bookish theme, as a Swiftie, I'm loving the Taylor Swift
Yep.
themes of everything. Like I feel like those kind of just go hand in hand together.
Yep.
So props to you for selling those amazing things. What has been the biggest challenge outside of you mentioned finding a space and things falling through? What else has surprised you in your journey to open Flame and Fable?
So, the most surprising thing I think has been how well the business has done. Like, I don't feel like it's been successful, but the numbers show otherwise. I am outselling what my predictions were, and it's been consistent for both the last 2 months. Even though I opened a month ago, like the sales are remaining consistent. And then on top of that, the support from the community has been almost overwhelming. It's like I feel so loved and so appreciated just for opening a store here. There are people who want to be my friend and like they come in here and they want to know my opinions about books and they want to hear about my life. And my birthday was on the 19th and I had 4 or 5 people come in and hand me birthday presents, and only a couple of them like I actually knew personally. So it really feels like home, which is really cliche and dorky, but it's true. Like Lakewood in particular has a really small and close knit small business community. Like you can walk down any of the main streets in Lakewood and find mom and pop businesses everywhere. It's just a theme around here. So to have been accepted into that group feels really, really amazing.
You say you are outshining your planned numbers. Is that coming from that standard 30% sideline items, 70% books? Is it like that, or are you surprised by how the revenue is generated?
I am surprised by the amount that I'm selling day to day. I thought so like I had predictions based off of all the research that I did in my business plan, and I am selling almost twice as much as that, which is crazy. And it comes from the fact that when customers come into my store, they come for one book and they leave with two, three, four, plus a cup, plus a sticker, plus a bookmark. Do you know what I mean? So I anticipated that people would buy like 1 or 2 books because my selection is, it's actually very small. Like my space is only 600 square feet or so of books. And it's, like I said, very niche. So I only have one copy of multiple books on the shelves. And I think that's why people feel like they need to buy multiple, because if they see one copy, they're like, oh, this is the last one. I might as well pick it up. And then I also have a section to my right over here that's all my recommendations and my book club's recommendations. And they sell constantly because people want to know what other people are reading, right? It's why so many people ask to follow me on Goodreads or Fable or Storygraph or something, because they want to see what I'm reading and what I'm interested in. Putting my own heart and my own thing, like my own opinions, is really helpful for people too.
I don't know why, but I love going into a bookstore and when they have the little sign under the book, like, this is what I think of this book. I'm like, I don't even know this person, but I am totally invested in their review of this
Yeah.
book. It's weird. It's weird how that happens. That is very cool. You're very fortunate. It sounds like those two locations that fell through, like they fell through for a good reason, and you are in the right place for sure. So, what would you say to somebody who wants to do what you do? Because I feel like every reader has a dream of opening a bookstore of some sort, but it is an expense. Like it is an investment because, you have all these people telling you why it's not going to work. You talk about the profit margin. And then on top of that, you have to pay for this physical space, and location is very important. So, that physical space is going to cost more in a better location, than any other place where it may be a little bit more financially friendly for you. So, what would you advise to somebody who wants to start a brick and mortar bookish business?
I would tell them that if I did it, then anyone can, because I did it slowly. I took my time. I have ADHD, so I get distracted by literally everything. And I also hyperfixate on things. But when I was hyperfixating on my business plan, I powered through and did the entire thing. And then, like I said, those 2 locations had fallen through. But even though I took a break, I still persevered afterwards. And then like I call it luck that I found the space immediately when I got back from Japan, but it really was the fact that I remained steadfast and consistent and did all of the work and put all of my time and energy into what I was passionate about. And I feel like if you're passionate about something, you can make it happen no matter the circumstances. So like that's why there are banks and that's why there are nonprofits that give loans and grants to people, because they want to see small businesses thrive. Like the US is very small business forward, at least in the little guys, we're very small business forward. So I think that if you have the drive and determination and the will and the passion, that you can make it happen no matter what. Because like I said, I had failures throughout the process and I still managed to be successful at the end.
Do you think having ADHD benefits you as a business owner because you always have that energy to get things done?
There are things that I love to do and things that I hate to do. And I think that the neurodivergence makes that a larger issue. I am awful at answering emails. And when I say awful, I still have emails from like the first week of March that people are waiting on me to respond to. And it's the 28th right now. So we're talking like 3 weeks old emails. But I can sit here and put inventory into the system all day long because it's calming and it's repetitive and the books are what I love. But I also don't think it's a hindrance either, because I let people know that, like, hey, if you're going to communicate with me via email, you're going to have to wait a little bit. And I actually tell people, DM me on Instagram instead, because I'm on Instagram all day long, because I make a point to repost things that people are sharing about my store, because I want as many people as possible to see what I'm doing. And Instagram itself has been a huge blessing. Like, my following exploded in my first week on social media. So, but that's another thing that I'm really bad at. Like, I haven't done a reel in like 2 or 3 weeks because they're really hard and they get repetitive. It's kind of a yes and a no, but mostly no.
Yeah, it just amplifies the good and it amplifies the bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we
100%.
need to get Emma helping you with your email. When she's done organizing the books on the shelves, she needs to be in your inbox.
She says no.
Oh, already shot down. Okay, Emma, get back to the books then. Okay. Tell me, you mentioned Instagram. Tell me about the marketing and getting the word about Flame and Fable out there. Everybody that I've talked to who has an independent bookstore has talked to me about the importance of social media in building the buzz and the local community. What would you credit to your success?
I posted a video on TikTok the day before TikTok went away. And
For
it was
4 hours?
yeah. It was a video that was like, hey, I'm Nickie and I really love books and I'm opening a bookstore, and like, come along for the journey with me. And I still hear to this day that showing the behind the scenes of putting the business together was so interesting and so informative to everybody, which is why I try to do like unboxing videos or talk about like things behind the scenes, because everybody sees what the store looks like when they walk in here, but nobody knows everything that goes into it. So I think that showcasing me unboxing my first inventory, or talking about the journey, this ridiculous journey that I had to go on to get my bookshelves, those were really interesting to people. And I'm floundering now because I don't have a lot of that stuff to showcase anymore. But now I have things like new releases and events and features that I have that I can share. And every time I post about an indie book that's been published, somebody's like, oh, I've never heard about this author. I'm so excited to read this. And that is something that I like. I love indie authors so much, and I love local authors so much. So being able to leverage their content and then getting people excited about it, in addition to being excited about my store, is really great. I love that. So I think the behind the scenes stuff in the beginning is what started the following. And now there's so many people continuing to spread the word about the store for me. And I'll be completely honest with you, I have paid for zero marketing. I have not done Facebook ads. I've not done Instagram ads. I have not paid for my website. I did a free website builder. So I just have a landing page right now, and I am hoping to work with somebody to get a better website put together. But everything that has gone into this business has been me or my idea or somebody that has offered me a suggestion that I've been like, this is fantastic. Thank you for the info. I'm the only employee of the store. I do all the social media, and it feels really amazing to be able to say something like that, that I literally, while I had all this support, this is something that I did from start to finish on my own.
Okay, you mentioned a ridiculous bookcase situation, so now I have to ask about that. Like, how ridiculous can it be to get bookshelves?
So I have the IKEA Billy bookshelves, which are everybody's favorite bookshelves, because they're cheap and they look cute. So I ordered my bookshelves on IKEA online, and I was going to have them delivered to the store. The delivery like facility in Cleveland has a 1-star rating on Google with hundreds of reviews, and my story is just one of hundreds of people that had the exact same problem. They will schedule a delivery from, so like IKEA outsources their delivery from a different company, and so they had delivered my shelves in like a week, and then they scheduled my delivery date to have them from the facility to my store. I got a confirmation, and then they said, oh, sorry, we can't make that date. And then the same thing happened again. I rescheduled, they confirmed, and then the next day it was, oh, sorry, we can't make that date, please reschedule. That happened 4 times in 2 weeks. And that was the week that I was opening. This was, I'm talking February 5th, the bookshelves were supposed to be delivered for the 4th time, and they canceled again. I live in Cleveland, and it's not anywhere near an IKEA. So my husband and I rented a U-Haul, drove to Pittsburgh, which was 2 hours away, stocked the U-Haul with all the bookshelves, and it was like thousands of pounds of boxes that we put onto this truck, the 2 of us. And then we drove back home the same day. And then my dad and his girlfriend and my husband and I unloaded all the bookshelves into the store at 11 p.m. And then I had an army of people the following day come and help me build them. So it was nice that I had so many people willing to support me, but this situation of like not being able to get the shelves and then having to cancel that and then go and pick them up was just nightmarish. It was like, I have told everybody, please, if you're going to go to IKEA, just go pick them up because it was awful.
Have we spoken to somebody at customer service for IKEA? Okay.
Yeah.
I think they need a new delivery service in the Cleveland area because clearly that's not working well.
I'll definitely be picking up my next ones from them myself too.
So one of the challenges, when I asked about challenges and things that surprised you, that I feel would top the list.
Yep, for sure.
Tell me what you're currently reading and what the last best book is that you read.
Oh, okay. So I am going to be completely honest with you. When I started working on the bookstore, I stopped reading. I put all of my time and energy and extra like bandwidth that I had into putting the bookstore together. So the last book that I read was in 2024, and it was Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. And then I did read a book this year. It's for one of the book clubs that we have at Flame Fable for the Feral Gremlins book club. For March, we read One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. Fantastic book, immediate 5 stars. I was so upset because I didn't have the second book in the store the next day. So I ordered a whole bunch of copies and now I have it. So I'm starting that, and I'm also starting the next Feral Gremlins book, which is Cross My Heart by Roxy Sloan, and that's a dark romance, like a teacher-student situation.
Ooh, okay. And your book club, it happens there locally in your store once a month?
Yeah, I actually have 4 book clubs in the store, and all of them happen here. Yep.
Do you run all 4?
I do not. I run one of them. I run the Dragon Fruits book club, which is the official Flame and Fable book club. It's a Romantasy book club. Feral Gremlins is a dark romance book club, and it's run by my friend Leah, who volunteers here most of the time, and she just wanted people to talk about books with, so she made a book club. And then I have the Spicy Grapes book club, which is kind of like a recommendations club where we get together and talk about smut and drink wine, and we pick like a theme every month. So this month it's political or royal, and you read a book that has those themes, then you talk about whether you would recommend it or not. And then I also have a therapy-driven book club, which reads dark romance and takes like a mental health approach at discussing them.
So interesting and very clever to get people into the bookstore.
I have so many events planned, and I cannot wait to share all about them because I've got some really unique things and some really fun things coming up for you.
Nickie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This is a blast.